Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. In today's video, we're going to be diving into the world of XRP to see exactly what has been going on with the price action of this altcoin. As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done, and out of the way, let's dive down to the charts and take a look at what's going on here with XRP. Okay guys, so we're just going to take a quick look at the weekly, then dive down into the daily, etc. So on the weekly chart here, we just want to kind of acknowledge that, pretty much we've been, differently, or trading differently, I should say, than most of the other crypto space. This is pretty much down to the fact that obviously we have the lawsuit with the SEC, and Ripple, right? And this has basically been causing a bit of fluctuations within the price of XRP. People are speculating that it's going to be great news and we're going to completely push past it. We're going to get great regulations, etc., right? I'm kind of in that camp to a degree. I'm optimistic about it just because, US are the only ones that are kind of saying that XRP is a security, right? And it makes very, very little sense when you actually try to apply securities law to actual XRP in itself. So I'm pretty optimistic from those kind of side of things. And of course, at the same time, the fair notice defense from Ripple, I think, is a very strong one as well. So it depends to see how that kind of all plays out in due course. But I'm pretty optimistic about it. And as we've seen previously, generally, it doesn't matter too much whether XRP is classed as a security, whether XRP is classed, an exchange token or a currency, right? Because it only will affect how you go about purchasing it, right? And you have to look at some other cases to actually understand that tokens that have been classed as security have done incredibly well from a price perspective once that clarity is given, regardless of what the clarity is. So I know a lot of people are worried about it, and a lot of people obviously have found it quite frustrating and difficult, right? Specifically if you're building up a huge position with a cryptocurrency during a bear market, only to have Jay Clayton drop an absolute bombshell on you for Christmas. It seems very frustrating, and it is frustrating, but it was also an opportunity, right? To see the price come down to where it did, this was an opportunity to buy up a significant portion of XRP ahead of where it was going. So this is exactly what me and Chris were doing, right? We were basically took advantage of this opportunity because we knew things were going to go up. We looked at the history of everything. We weren't going to panic. We weren't going to panic sell on the way down. Obviously, it's easy for us to say we are in the UK, right? It was an exchange token here, and it hasn't been delisted here, right? And we can still trade XRP, pretty easily. Whereas obviously in the US, that's obviously a different story, right? So I can appreciate that it has been more difficult in the US with the delistings and everything else, and the uncertainty of it. But an opportunity was here to be had, and we were able to take advantage of that. And even if you were to just ride it up to May, ignore the kind of pullback. Now this is actually starting to come back in line with the rest of the crypto space at this point, right? We heated up during the kind of at the start of the year, pushing up nicely, and then we pulled back. Now the obvious thing is that from a percentage point of view, we would have performed much better had the lawsuit not been dropped. Okay, we would have spiked up massively higher during this initial kind of push back in April and May, yeah, and before we had the pullback. So although we have been participating in the bull run, we have obviously been held back quite significantly as well. It's not as liquid as it needed to be, right? Not many exchanges are favoring XRP at the moment, and the uncertainty that has been caused by the SEC has caused billions of dollars worth of damage to the retail investors that they supposedly are there to protect. So we know that it's not really about protecting retail investors, right? Otherwise they would not have dropped the lawsuit on us at all, right? So then there's alternative motives there. There's another reason why they're doing it. It's all about trying to pay the bankroll, etc., right? So it's ultimately just about the money. So obviously we acknowledge that the market has it's moved similarly, but it's not the same. It's not the same kind of patterns that we've seen previously with other cryptocurrencies. And a good example of this is most altcoins are following an impulsive 5 move to the upside, right? But we don't have this 5 impulsive move to the upside for XRP, because wave 3 should have been significantly higher. Okay, and wave 4 should never have pulled back lower than wave 1. Okay, so wave 5 should obviously be way up there, right? So if it was following the patterns of everyone else, this is the kind of pattern that we should have been seeing with XRP. But instead, we saw Jay Clayton drop the lawsuit, and then obviously the market just did not perform in the same way. We saw basically a lack of progress being had here for this kind of impulsive move. So no impulsive move for XRP. Okay, so we know that it's not following Elliott theory in that regard. But what else is going on here? Well, we do have some interesting moves. We basically have a bunch of ABC moves. If on the weekly chart here, we can see that there's an A, a B, and a C, right? So we know it's an impulsive move to the upside, not an impulsive, but a corrective move to the upside. We also have, an A, B, and C correction move to the downside. And now, where we are right now, we are looking for this A, we're looking for a B, and now we are looking for a C move. Now, what's going to be interesting here on this weekly chart is whether or not this C pushes higher than the C that we had previously up here, this being basically April of 2021. Okay, so on the bigger move and a bigger scale here, we could potentially see an Elliott triangle appear. Which would lead to a massive breakout at a later stage, right? So depending on what happens next, if we just put the C down to here, and we actually go ahead and grab hold of this one, and we actually start to think that maybe there's a triangle that appears here on our weekly chart, we could potentially start to see a really big breakout happen. So if we had an A, B, C, then down to the downside for whatever reason that would occur, and then we push up again, and then again, one last downward trend. This could again, be at any point before we get a massive breakout. If I actually grab hold of my arrow to the upside, right? This is something that could be playing out. I don't think this is something that we have the time for. So again, I'm going to be monitoring this. Again, this could be something that we see much later with XRP because of everything that has been going on. But we could have this this move actually play out, so an A through E triangle where we push massively to the upside. But timing on that would be very, very delayed. And again, I think that is something that we'd have to consider if that lawsuit is ongoing during the bear market as well. But everything kind of is coiling up. So what we're looking for really is to avoid this A through E. And what we actually want to do is break to the upside. We want to actually basically bring this much sooner. We want to break this and we want to get higher than we were in April. Okay, if we can break that trend, then we actually should be in a pretty good position to actually then start talking about whether we have an impulsive move now starting here, right? As in one, there's wave 2. Can we get a wave 3? Maybe go up to all-time high, a pull back, and then a surge to new all-time highs. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that we are looking to try to achieve, but it's too soon to say for sure. But what is looking interesting is the patterns that are potentially forming here on that weekly chart. Now, let's just talk about this fib briefly. I know this is something that people have been talking about, we've spoken about many times before, right? Basically, if you take a Fibonacci retracement tool from the all-time high down to the bear market low, we can see $15.91. That's 1,229% from the current price. Okay, so again, this is something I think we would only see if the lawsuit actually comes to a close. And the outcome's kind of irrelevant, but if we actually have a closed case and exchanges list XRP again in the US and everything's kind of dandy to kind of crack on, then yeah, you're talking about $15.91. Okay, but if we jump down into our daily view, this is actually where we get a more conservative model. Okay, so based on the high area that we had here in April down to the low area, the double tap that we had in June and July, this shows us at $6.68, a nice conservative target. This is something that, based on that one pullback that we've seen in this bull run, we could potentially spike up to and see. We can go a little bit further than this, though. We could actually take a look at that December pullback, when that lawsuit was dropped, and say, let's take a look at that trend. It's not really a trend, but let's take a look at that trend, take it to that high that we had up in April, and then take it down to our low point that we had down in June, July. This actually sees us moving out to $8. Okay, so based on those three trends, we can see, the downtrend in December, the uptrend pretty much through the beginning of the year through to April, and the pullback that we had in June, July. This shows us moving out to $8.07. Okay, but Again, I think it's good to be conservative with XRP at the moment. We are obviously facing a trend line, a downward trend line as well. We can see this slipping down here, and we're coming up against this area right now. We are looking at the stochastic moving up into the overbought area. So the next thing to kind of expect here with XRP is a small pullback, and we're going to get into that on the smaller time frames as well in a moment. But overall, there's good progress to be had here. And again, I think this is something that we should acknowledge as something that is likely to continue growing as we kind of exit out of November and go into December. Okay, so at this point, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the Evide.io dashboard. Now, Evide.io, for those who do not know, use artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us understand the underlying value of cryptocurrencies. There's a link in the description down below. It's completely free to use, so do go ahead and sign up, and you're going to find a lot more clarity around what is going on with your cryptocurrencies. Now, we are an A3 rating overall for XRP right now. This is actually pretty good. It's top tier. The best rating you can get is A1. Not that we've ever seen a cryptocurrency get that. The best rating we've ever seen on this platform is an A2. So we know that we are right up there at the top end right now. As we come down, we get a Fear and Greed index that is specific to XRP. So not just Bitcoin's Fear and Greed index. So for XRP right now, we're actually pretty neutral at B1 rating. You can see that we're moving up nicely here with XRP. So again, we could start to see some kind of greed coming into the market for XRP, helping push us a little bit further to the upside. We have a Sharpe ratio that's an A2 rating. So again, above the 50-day average. This is indicating to us that the rewards outweigh the risks, and therefore we might want some exposure to XRP. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor. Therefore, it's important that you do your own research before jumping into any cryptocurrencies. Now, using Evide.io, using TradingView charts are great ways to give you the insight that you need and the confidence that you need to get into cryptocurrencies before jumping straight in. So it's good to see that the Sharpe ratio is working for us and it is in our favor, and that Fear and Greed index is pretty neutral right now. We have an AMI-HAD ratio that's an A2, so buying and selling XRP is pretty fluid, a lot of liquidity there, so no issues with that liquidity whatsoever. We have moving averages up at an A2, so 10, 50, 100-day moving averages looking pretty good, and the profitability is an A1. It's performing well considering. I mean, you're picking up XRP 17 cent, and well, we're trading now relatively nicely at $1.20. So again, pretty profitable. Not the best out there, but definitely not the worst either. I think the worst probably goes to Bitcoin, if I'm being honest. So let's take a look at what's going on with the hourly view. This is where we get a little bit more clarity on the recent price movements. So as we can see here, we had good traction to the upside. We pulled back. We obviously had the kind of time when everything kind of got liquidated. Basically, loads of people were going long on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And as a result, basically, the whales were able to liquidate those guys by shorting it and basically bringing the price down, dropping their bags, etc., and then basically bringing it right back up again. So basically, leverage is bad. If you don't know what you're doing, basically, these whales and these institutions will use that against you. So basically liquidated you, and you lose everything whilst they gain everything. So again, after that, we obviously had a good traction to the upside. We started to track this quite nicely. If we actually come into the most recent kind of trades just here, we can see good traction coming up. We found that we actually hit resistance right up here on the nose of 123. This area is the, I think it's the, come back out to the daily for a second. Yeah, it's the 50% retracement area. Okay, this comes in at 123. So we came right up here. This is also a previous area of major resistance as well. So again, do expect us to kind of have the pullback. We've obviously pulled back nicely. And we are looking to now grow back up again, but we are looking to lower the stochastic at the same time. So ideally, what we want to do now is stabilize around here before we can then continue that growth to the upside overall. So again, we are going to hopefully try to find resistance up here, and this will be on our downward trend line. Okay, and that downward trend, if I just zoom on out here, basically is a trend line that we've been tracking for a while, pretty much all the way from up this end here. We can see this is pretty much from May, tracking this downward trend line. We also came up against it on the 6th of September. We're rejected from it. So getting rejected from this 50% retracement zone at $1.23 is actually not a bad thing, and I'll tell you why. Getting rejection from here and stabilizing it here will allow us now to grow up and hopefully try to actually get above that trend line. Getting above that trend line and turning the trend into a support before going ahead and talking about trying to move up to the 618, 702, and 786 areas. This is a pretty major milestone for XRP, where we can continue that growth overall. But we need to have the momentum behind us to allow us to break through the trend. So stabilizing at this point is actually not a bad idea. It allows us to then basically reset our stochastic RSI, reset our momentum, and allow us then to continue this push to the upside. This is something that you saw over here, right? So basically we were tracking nicely to the upside and we needed a reset. So we've kind of had the pullback, we reset our stochastic RSI, and then we continue that growth to the upside. We come to the resistance, we pull back, we reset things, and then we continue that growth to the upside. And so we're looking to try to push past this resistance trend line and then obviously find the resistance at $1.33. Okay, so I think there's some pretty good traction to be had here with XRP. Good times do lie ahead, but also do expect volatility. Specifically as prices start to reach some of the previous high areas, I think people will be looking to get out of XRP because of the uncertainty. Whereas a lot of speculators will be also speculating on ultimately, the price of XRP appreciating with the end of the lawsuit looming. So again, I do think there's basically a lot of people in both camps right now, so that will help cause price discovery, but will also increase the volatility as we approach some of the previous areas of high value that we were in previously this year. Once we start reaching up some of those high areas, people who were jumping into XRP chasing the green candles, if they haven't sold at a loss, will probably try to sell at a neutral point. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there, but if you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.